Today, in our special series, The State Connect, we're talking about a state that has changed all the rules and is trying to defy a lot of old perceptions about it. It contributes about 8% to India's GDP, and the contribution in terms of workforce to the rest of the country is perhaps even larger. I'm talking about the state of Uttar Pradesh, and Cabinet Minister Sidharth Nath Singh, who also looks after the MSME portfolio, among others, is joining me today to speak on how Uttar Pradesh is planning to move ahead after COVID-19. Mr. Singh, pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, I must jump in first because, Uttar Pradesh has been in the news, in all Google searches, in the headlines for one thing alone. So, which is why I must start with talking about the changes to your labor laws, which the state undertook on the 8th of May via ordinance. After that, some points were retracted. If I'm not mistaken, the 12-hour work deadline or daily work hours were retracted. A lot of changes were made. It's caused a lot of controversy. But let's begin with you setting the stage for what exactly was the purpose and idea behind undoing the labor laws in the state of Uttar Pradesh?
Well, it's something which has been in demand for a very long time. It's not that it just came up during the COVID-19. But when you are going through difficult times, and we all do understand it's a disruptive economy stage we are. It's not a way regular, the normals have all changed. You do need to plan differently. If all was well, it was something different. Now, we all do understand that the most important thing during any crisis, and it's a pandemic, we know there is a depression kind of a stage, which the global depression can be there. There will be job losses. How do you cut job losses? It's only by something that is the factories and the outputs or the manufacturing continuing it. And therefore, it is very important that you come out of, it's out of box policy decisions are taken. And so therefore, what is more important for the labor, and that's the argument keeps going on, that most important for the labor is that they must get something to continue as their wages. Now, that can only be possible if you allow the industries to function. So they needed an incentive. It's a kind of an incentive. It's not a disincentive for the labor. And therefore, we took a call. And I think it's been a welcome. A lot of industries, those who are in running and those who want to restart, they are all happy about it. They are retaining. They have the confidence that the government is behind. The labor, those job losses which could have happened have not happened. They are positive about things. Then the economic package has come, or the government of India's package has come. All this put together is created an environment which is conducive that despite everything, the central government, the state government will support, and the job losses won't be there. They will stand with us.
Okay. Mr. Singh, I just want to quote to you what Azim Premji wrote recently in the Economic Times, and among the other things he said, he also mentioned that labor is hardly industry stock constraints. He goes on to say diluting already lax laws will not boost economic activity. It also tends to pit workers and businesses against each other. Now, there has been a lot of criticism and questioning about whether the state of Uttar Pradesh actually wants to deny workers basic rights like sanitation, ventilation, cafeteria, things like that, basic human rights, if that's the purpose. On the other end of the spectrum, the question is, if these are really, reforms you believe in, why limit them to only 1,000 days? Why only to 3 years when businesses are set up with a long-term perspective?
Well, you have a point, and one can argue on that basis that why only 1,000 days? And I don't know when Azim Premji had said that, perhaps before the 20 lakh was announced, because his good concern should be on the defense modernization and reforms coming in the defense sector. That's a prime area for him now. I don't think he would disagree to certain decisions which we have taken. And certainly this cannot be the only reform to revive and kickstart the industries. There are many areas which needs to be done, but labor and land does remain a very big bottleneck if you talk to any investors, and particularly those whom you wish to attract from abroad. So it does remain an important aspect, but not the only one. So now coming on your 1,000 days, well, it's a beginning, I would say. Something has begun, and if all goes well, why not continue then? So let's wait for that. It's a positive step. It's not a negative step or a policy change. So we should be looking ahead. It's a constructive decision. So I personally feel something that has started, which was not there, it should be welcome, and one shouldn't be questioning just the timing. One shouldn't be questioning the duration of the time. It should be all taken together and say, let's start. The government is now looking positively.
What about the concerns about very basic rights of workers, being set aside because of this, and worker rights being completely ignored?
I don't see that happening. The wages protection is there. The bonded labor is applicable. The minimum number of hours we had actually left between. If you see, it's a crisis. We felt that number of hours could be increased, but the government steps out. It's between the employee and the employer. Now we received that no, it cannot be. Don't increase or keep it to 11 to 12 hours. Although we had 2 shifts, 6 hours of the maximum shift number of hours to be maintained. But since it wasn't there, so we said, okay, fair enough. Government is not here. Government is flexible about it. So we have retracted that. But overall, there is, for example, the Child and the Women Labor Act is very much intact there. So, and we have the safety network intact there. We have the security network, which is intact there. The health issues are very much intact there. So I don't see that there is anything which goes against the labor law or their interests. But yes, there is the trade unions and all. There was an issue which used to come through that. And there's a history. We shouldn't, with all due respect to everybody, that there has been a cause of concern on the trade unions. And while we sit here on an economic channel, you also know how things we have faced during the communist rule and how we have all criticized it. So one can't take away the history and the reality from it. So yes, trade unions also have to understand that this is the time that they have to come together. Then this is the time where they need to ensure that factories keep running, even if we do not get the many other perks, but the minimum wage or the wage should be coming to the laborers or their members, because that helps them to run their kitchen, that helps them to pay the salaries, the fees of the children, that helps them to pay for the transportation and also electricity. These are the most important things. Let's not take that away. Therefore, they must also have an understanding of the situation rather than just sticking to a particular situation which is not very conducive to economic activities.
But the reality is that businesses look at various factors. And one of them, of course, is the law and order, sort of steadiness in regulations that they won't change as governments change. Factors like this, land is also still an issue. So you said this before, that just changing the labor laws will not help. What really do you think Uttar Pradesh can do, is doing, to ensure the businesses that are already there can start off? Now the important part is for the economy to revive.
So one is, that's one reform I had spoken. Then those who are existing units, obviously we have come up with many, kind of technology. Well, to say one is MSME Sathi. That's an app that we have introduced, which was done recently, a week back, where we have linked with all our departments. It's a single window we have given, which wasn't there, where you can raise and inform us, and we resolved all your problems which are raised. And in a way, many of the units which were not registered because of MSME Sathi, they are getting registered. They can then avail a lot of government scheme benefits which they were unable to get. We were even we were not knowing about them. So that's kind of a hand-holding we are in a position to. I think what is most important is the hand-holding. You have an issue with the banks. Now I'm holding every fortnightly a meeting with our SLBCs. Now with the SLBCs, because of the app, I come to know all the problems rather than going around and trying to find out what are the problems. So with that, it becomes easy. I can call the industrialist or the MSME unit to be part of that discussion. We resolve problems. So things have started working. It's basically, again, we are the facilitator. We do handholding. Now, then we come on the new MSMEs. So we hope all this would help, efforts would help. And with the new package that the government has given and new reforms the government has set in many sectors, will definitely boost the Indian economy and give UP a chance also.
Okay, the idea is also to communicate to you and be the channel to communicate to you some of the concerns, questions that industry has. So here's one question for you. It's from Mr. Arvind Mediratta, the MD and CEO of Metro Cash and Carry. He's also the chair of FICCI's Committee on Retail and Internal Trade. And Mr. Mediratta says that we have seen a vast decline in UP amongst citizen footfalls to buy essential goods and groceries. It is evident that citizens are in high anxiety to come out of the house. This is possibly due to excessively harsh measures of the local administration to stop citizens from stepping out and lack of regulations to help them to even buy essentials. Let me just broaden this question a bit, because this is a challenge all policymakers are facing right now. The more you keep things shut, the more the local economy suffers, and all the packages in the world can't help that. You have to let people start doing their business. Do you think that there is a challenge here to make sure that what you decide is communicated on the ground?
No, again, where I think you said Arvind?
Yes, Arvind Mediratta, yeah.
Mr. Arvind Mediratta, the question where he is raising the question from his point of view. But the government doesn't work only in one point of view. There is we have to take a balanced approach. The question is, when you're talking, I think it's related to lockdown. When you're talking about a lockdown, we need to follow certain guidelines which are given by the MHA. Based on that guideline, we have to take the social distancing is unquestionable. We all have to maintain social distancing, and certain issues need to be handled from the safety and the health aspect. That's the first priority. Even the Prime Minister has said, and the country has accepted what the Prime Minister has said, and therefore the lockdown has been, we are in the 4th stage of the lockdown. Now, as far as the flexibility to give, we have been giving, and in fact, as of this morning, circular also, the shops which he's talking about, they are being opened. Now, when they are open, there is a freedom of people to go there. Now, freedom is by 2 people in a car, in a 4-wheeler, or a single person in a 2-wheeler. Then taxis are being allowed with certain restrictions. So all that would help to increase the footfall, because we do understand if the market is not open, the retailers are not open. Obviously, in just letting the manufacturer to manufacture is of no value. He can't be dumping it somewhere. He needs to sell somewhere. So therefore, it's important we have started that exercise.
Okay, let me come to the big issue, which we haven't touched upon so far, but I think it's very important, not just in the context of Uttar Pradesh, but across the nation, which is your migrant workers. And we've seen a large number of migrant workers move from states back home. Many of them have come into the state from Uttar Pradesh because that's where they were from. Give us an idea. First, I will come to the numbers that have come back. And what are they going to do now?
Well, we have received, as of today, roughly about 10 lakh migrant laborers. So that's what we have got. And we have 20 lakh also laborers who are migrant in the nature, but they come from different states like Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand. That's also the migrant labor. So they are already, well, there's obviously UP stands out because the migrant labor who were residing and working in UP haven't rushed out. They haven't said that we are going to Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh. They have been happier because UP has given them in 2 tranches. We have given them roughly about 600 crores as DBT. So they are stay put, despite there being no manufacturing or any production happening. They have received that. We have given them enough ration, so they feel happy and they are content. But those who are coming, we have a committee where MSME Sathi is there under the Agricultural Produce Commissioner. So Agriculture Ministry is there. Then we have Skilling Ministry. We have Rural Development Ministry. We have the Panchayati Raj. Now all of them put together, we made a plan that how many jobs we can create for these laborers who are coming from outside and those who can go jobless also in UP. So we came up with numbers that's roughly about 20 lakhs. And whenever any laborer or the migrants are coming, they are mapped at that camps or the quarantine centers. From there, the respective books are given. We contact them on the ground. We work through channels, and then they are contacted that, look, you want to have a work, please, this is the availability. If they say no, then we arrange them for skilling. Just to tell you, today, as of today, 32 lakh laborers, I would say, and that it includes migrant labor also, roughly about 3.5 to 4 lakhs of them have been registered under MNGREGA. So they have been deployed for works, which is for irrigation works, which we have started. There are road making works, which we have started. We have started the government construction work. So all these areas, the MNGREGA laborers are getting a job, which is again, that is 202 rupees per day they do get.
A representative from the government of Maharashtra as part of this series. And I asked the question about, because it's a different situation here. I asked the question that a lot of people have now left. Who's going to do the work? That's the situation, say, in a state like Maharashtra. Their answer was, well, this is an opportunity for the locals to come and do jobs. What is going to happen now in Uttar Pradesh? Are we going to see now another set of migration as things open up? Because the fact is that there are other parts of the country which are more industrialized, and traditionally they've attracted a lot of job seekers, workers from the state of Uttar Pradesh. That has been the flow so far.
Well, my answer, or my chief minister's answer, is that we always had incentive to establish industry. We didn't get a chance. Now we are getting a chance. So we are creating those opportunities for them. And UP, because we are getting skill, that's a human capital we are getting. Based on that, we are creating avenues for manufacturing to happen in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh was always a consumer state. Now we are going to be a manufacturing. UP is going to be a hub for many, many activities, as I discussed, and I was telling you in my initial opening remarks. So we are going to be a big manufacturing hub, MSME hub, textile hub, pharmaceutical hub, all that is being planned. So all these laborers who are coming, we are sitting here and we are going to get their experience and that capital.
Okay. Explain to me now the situation about how many of these people came. I think we must touch upon that as well. So there are a variety of issues out there. One is, were some states reluctant to take their workers back? And I understand the concern about COVID spreading to areas where it didn't exist before because they would carry it with them. but it came across as heartless in a lot of cases, where some people have had to walk for days, finally made it, and then were stopped at the borders. Can you explain why such situations have arisen?
That should be asked to UP government. From where they left, isn't the responsibility of that state to answer that question? And I again repeat, I said we have 20 lakh migrant laborers to Orissa, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand in particular. I mentioned those. They haven't left. Have you ever heard from UP or their conditions being poor? But why they have left Punjab, Rajasthan and Maharashtra in particular? Why couldn't that state take care of them? That's the big question. Now, when they have left, wasn't it responsibility of those states to stop them at their borders and say, no, this is not the way to go. We'll ensure that you go to your state if you wish to. It's a free country. They haven't done that. Now they have walked all this way. Once you have walked and in large numbers they came suddenly on UP borders, and they started walking. We were also not so much prepared, I would say. But when we saw that, because we have already booked 700 trains we have taken in Uttar Pradesh, we have 11,000 buses which we arranged. But we didn't realize that the various state governments will not inform us that how many laborers or the migrants wish to come. They always said to us that we are going to register them and inform you. So once the states tell us that they are going to inform us, then obviously we'll be informed. But we realize that they have been sent, so we have made those arrangements within UP, and we are any laborer who coming, and there are many of them who are crossing from UP. Try to understand, they are going towards Bihar also. So there is a large number. I would say 35-40% stay back in UP, then they go to Bihar. Some of them are from Nepal also. So UP becomes the a route. So it's a part. So, and therefore there are people, but again, I would rather question, or I would rather not. It's not at the time to question stage. We all are fighting this together, but they should have been more.
Okay, so speaking about industry, and in my mind, it is connected. If you have industry, you have clear labor laws. Perhaps we would have not had a situation like the one we've seen with migrant workers in distress. So it is all part of a bigger story. The question I want to close with, Mr. Singh, is simply this, that labor laws, will be tweaked, have been relaxed. As you said, it could be extended even beyond 3 years, will take care of workers and industry as well. You're setting up these special arrangements to connect with people who want to come and invest. What about the prime concern, which has been there in Uttar Pradesh in a legacy way as well, which is the law and order situation, so safety of the businesses there, as well as the role of trade unions, etc. So businesses need to be assured that their investments will be safe. Do you think you are now in a position to do that?
Well, we have been in position, and we had a successful investor summit. We had two groundbreaking. One, the Prime Minister himself came. The other was by Home Minister came for that. We had two successful groundbreaking also. And you also understand, nobody will come and risk their money if the law and order is not good. So there has been a good enough. There are these are the proof and the proofs of good law and order in Uttar Pradesh. So they are confident about that. As far as trade unions are concerned, I don't see UP to be dominated on the trade union side, because you can say in the Western Desert, it's never been an industrial, state. So that has never dominated, unlike many other states. So we do hold that advantage. Now we have learned from many experiences of other states. So we'll be obviously taking care of that. But it's a conducive. But we need to create a much better ecosystem, which we are doing. We are working by creating infrastructure, which is again Jewar Airport, the Ganga, the expressway, the Bundelkhand, the Purvanchal Expressway. There is already some two other expressways are existing. Inland waterway from Varanasi has been started. Mr. Gadkari ji had come. So it needs to be improved better, but that's going to be an additional. So that, it's a landlocked, has no sea or inland transportation system. That tag is also not with UP. We are making 11, you can say regional or region-wise airports, which are low frill. So 4 are already ready, 7 are going to be ready. We are creating a tourism sector like the Buddhist, the sector, the Buddha sector. Then we are going a Ram Sita sector. So all those sectors are there, and therefore those low frill airports are coming, and definitely they get connected with Southeast Asia. So all this has been. It's not that they are in paper. On ground, things are happening. We do see that UP in coming times will be a changed face. People are getting trust. People are knowing about Uttar Pradesh. Otherwise, people never talked about Uttar Pradesh. So Tamanna talking economic tax, talking to the minister of Uttar Pradesh, a cabinet minister, not that Sidharth Nath Singh, who was the spokesperson. So in itself shows UP has taken that lead.
Well, that's very kind of you. Mr. Sidharth Nath Singh always knows how to end an interview on a good note. Thank you so much for speaking with us in this special.
Thank you very much. Thank you.